based on a asynchronous mode of teaching. That is how usually so one can very well take up that mode in order to enhance the frequency of learning. So before that, the calculation which you have done, what is the correct answer and the processes? And we can move towards the discussion of the multiplier impacts of government. Okay, so this was task number 1. In this case, you were given with C value, which is in the form of consumption expenditure. It is given in an equation format. I is given the investment. You were supposed to find out the value of Y and the value of C. So what is your answer? I am finding
Y was
Y is 4,400.
and
C
the
is
X is
3,400.
400. So Y is 4,400, 3 is C is 3,400. So what will be the S? What is S? Simple 1,000. Huh? So one can make it out from this equation. Itishri, what does 0.75 mean? What does 0.75 mean? Hmm? What is this? Okay, B value, but what does that mean? Of course, it is a B value, but what does that mean?
The MPS value.
Fine, but still, then I don't understand. I don't understand MPS. I don't understand the P value. Please make me understand. Huh? Yeah, Sunit.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, MPS, that is the additional income that can be saved. Additional saving.
Okay, additional saving.
Ma'am, marginal proportionality to proportionality to income.
Okay, marginal propensity to income. फिर और क्या? What is the actual meaning of 0.75? A bonus mark will go to them, those who right now. What does 0.7 B समझ में आ गया? MPC बोले ठीक है, everything is fine, but उसका मतलब क्या है?
Fraction of additional income spent.
Okay, तुमने just simpler formula को you have simplified a bit.
And changing income.
हाँ.
Changing saving divided by changing income.
Again formula. Everything is correct, but I am not able to understand. What does that mean? What is the meaning of that 0.75? Because 0.75 will not mean anything. What is the meaning of 0.75?
Ma'am, MPC is the fraction of addition income that is spent.
Okay.
Ma'am, 75% is the change in consumption.
Who said that?
Shomajit.
Very good. Very good, Somajit. You get a score today. 75% is spent on consumption, isn't it? So what is our income? Income was 4400, right? So 75% of this value is how much? 3300, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Plus 100. तो हम लोग का C का वैल्यू कितना आया? 3400. Got it? So if 75% of is spent on consumption, what is the percentage spent on saving?
25.
25%. So isn't your value 1000? 25% of income? Y is 4400. So 25% of 4400 कितना आ रहा है?
1100.
1100 minus why it is 1000 because it is what? It is MPS. समझ में आ रहा है? माइनस 100 हो जा रहा है इक्वेशन. सेविंग फंक्शन का इक्वेशन क्या था? माइनस ए प्लस 1 माइनस बी वाई. So this minus a is how much? Minus 100 plus 1 minus b is nothing but MP. MPS. Value of y. So you will get the total amount of MPC. Sorry, I'm putting 1000. 0.25. So you will get the value of S. Getting it? Very
Yes,
simple thing. But again, meaning अगर नहीं ठीक से समझा पाओगे, then what is the point of calculating? समझ में आया अभी?
Yes, ma'am.
Very simple thing or complicated one?
Simple thing.
Huh?
Simple thing.
Very simple, no? My question was very straight. What does 0.75 mean? Value तो तुम लोग सब निकाल दिया. Samajit, it was a guesswork or understanding?
Understand, ma'am.
Good. That means you have understood. So got it? Everyone? Whatever you state is absolutely correct. That is the B value, that is the MPC value, that is the change in consumption due to change in income. Everything is correct. But when you have got a result, your result should mean something. You said that your income is 4400. So 4400 may say your consumption value came out to be 3400, which is including of autonomous consumption. So when it is asked, what does this value mean? That means you are stating as your income increases, your consumption changes by 75%, which is equivalent to 3300. Right? So accordingly, you can get the value of other. Clear? Similarly, the other question was given in the format of saving function. And you were supposed to find out what I, because y value is given. So it is just a switching of formula. Same formula, if you know, you can just use it differently to get the value which is unknown. So here the unknown value is I, the known value is y. So how would you find this? What is the answer?
300.
300.
300 क्या?
No, I, S
I is
we all,
300.
I and S is also 300.
Or
Yes,
300
equal
S.
to 300.
Because you equated I with S. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you calculate this one?
Minus 200 plus 0.25 into 4,000.
So you get the value of S.
Yes, ma'am. 300.
So your S value was 300. By using the simple logic of Y is equal to C plus S and Y is equal to C plus I, equating, you find out I value. This is one way. Another way also you can do it. What is the other way?
For consumption equation.
Through consumption equation also you could have found out, right? So consumption equation will be
200 plus,
plus
0.75.
Y. So what is the autonomous consumption here?
200.
200, exactly. So 200, what does that mean? That means irrespective of the fact that your income is high or it is zero, you are spending 200 on your consumption. This is independent of the level of income, but this is dependent on the level of income. Why it is independent? Because it depends upon whom? It depends upon our past saving or borrowing, whatever. That is why it is independent. Got it? So other way also you can find out. What is the value of I? Huh?
Ma'am, can we take for equilibrium saving equals to income?
Saving equal to income nahi hoga. How saving will be? If you say saving is equal to income, that means 100% of your income is spent on saving, which is not correct, isn't it? Saving it cannot be equal to income. We have our basic, last class mein we basic equation I started, no? Aggregate demand and aggregate supply. One was Y is equal to C plus I. Another was Y supply function was C plus S. So by equating this two, what did you get?
Saving equals to investment. That S is equals to I. Means here I and S will be 300.
This is one way,
This
right?
one.
Exactly what you said. This is one way, but there are other ways also you can find out. Now, from the consumption function also you can find out the value, isn't it? By using this equation, Y is equal to C plus I. Can you not find out the value of I? उसमें कितना आ रहा है Y का value? By using this method, Y is equal to C plus I, 2000 is equal to, you can find out how much you are getting.
Y equals to 2000.
I is equal to Y minus C. तो कैसे 2000 आएगा?
मैम मेरा Y 2000 है.
हाँ, so I का value I'm asking.
Oh, sorry.
If Y is equal to C plus I will not be equal to Y minus C.
Yes, ma'am.
So I का value कितना आएगा?
300, ma'am.
वही 300 ना?
Yes, ma'am.
Whatever formula you use, see, it is Y because they are interlinked. The logic behind this is we are operating under the boundaries of a two-sector model. And this is what is the relationship. So you can get the value of I either by equating this or by this, right? Here you cannot find out investment multiplier because the change is not given to you. But what will be the formula? What is, here you are asked to find out what is investment multiplier. not to calculate, but what do you mean by investment multiplier? But still then you can calculate investment multiplier without having the change through the direct formula. What is that?
Ma'am,
One by
delta
MPS.
y by delta I.
Okay, but in a formula, do you have this formula?
G.
Do you have
Yes,
change
ma'am.
in y value? No. Do you have
No.
change in
1200.
No. What is the other formula which you can use?
1 by B.
1 by MPS.
Very good. 1 by MPS. The MPS value is 0.25.
0.25.
So what is 1 by MPS?
4. 1.
So what is investment multiplier in this case? Clear? Got it or not?
Ma'am, even with
can
even
you
if we
elaborate more?
use it dy by di, then
Yes,
also
we
we are
can
also
use it.
finding it 4
Exactly.
only.
Yeah,
But,
you can
ma'am,
find it. But again, my point of concern here is, do you have dy value?
Yes, ma'am, I found it 1200.
How did you find it 1200?
And first I found the value of y by taking c plus I, and before that I found the value of y as y equals to c only. That is a
Okay.
plus by.
Fine. So you have taken without, that means you have taken in the initial case I as 0.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
You have
ma'am.
assumed I as 0. Okay, in that case, hold goods.
Yes.
If you assume I as 0, then also you can find this method. Fine. Absolutely right. But if it
Ma'am,
is I1 and I2, then you can also go for this method.
Okay.
Ma'am, can you elaborate more that how it's 1 by MPS?
Okay. See, this is a derived formula. 1 by MPS is nothing but a derived formula. Last class also I was mentioning about that. We started with an initial equation y is equal to c plus I, right?
Yes,
This is the
ma'am.
initial equation. If there is a
Yes, ma'am.
change in income, there is a change in consumption as well as change in investment, right?
Yes,
So let us take as or delta I is equal to delta y minus delta c.
yes, ma'am.
Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Equation 1. K ka hum log, we know the formula del y by del I.
Hmm.
This is on the basis of our definition. So
Yes,
this is equation 1, this is equation 2. Now we substitute the value of di in the equation 2. So when you substitute, what you will get? K is equal to dy by, instead of di, what I am written? dy minus
dy
dc. Right? Now we have divided both the numerator and denominator by dy to get. What do you get if we divide? So dy by dy 1 entirely divided by dy by dy minus, sorry, dy minus dc by dy. You're just dividing dy to both the sides, numerator as well as denominator. So what do you get? dy by dy is 1, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
The whole divided by change in income by change in, what is this called as? What is this? Isn't it our MPC?
Ma'am, dc by dy is equal to MPC, ma'am.
हाँ तो यहाँ पे ये whole divided, okay, इसको
Yes,
मैं
ma'am.
यहाँ
Yes,
पे
yes,
dy
ma'am. I got it.
by dy minus dc by dy. Now this one will be what?
1 minus MP.
This is what?
1 minus MPC.
So isn't it k is equal to 1 by 1 minus MPC?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Or k is equal to 1 by MPS? So this is a derived formula from the actual formula. So therefrom you can use this formula. Now is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Formula can be derived in, that is why some cases we are using a derived formula. Some cases we are using a derived formula. And this is all done based upon our questions. value, what value is given. If you don't have certain values, in this case, only by having an MPS knowledge, you can find out the value of multiplier, isn't it? So that is how calculation can be done by using simple equations. Clear? Any doubt?
No more.
Ma'am,
The
just
last-
one small
Yeah,
doubt.
Aliba.
And in
Uh-huh.
the class task 1, there you told that 25% of 4,400 will be saving, right? That is 1100. Then before that you said that S equals to 1000.
1100 nahi to? How much it is coming? 25% of 4400.
It is 1100, ma'am.
1100, okay.
Then S will be 1100, right? It will not be 1000, right? You said it.
S
before
means that is the MPS, not S.
Okay, MPS will be 1000 then.
See, when I am saying 0.25, 0.25 kya hai? This
MPC.
is the MPS, na?
MPS.
This is MPS, na?
Okay, MPS, yes, MPS.
So, जो 1100 पहले केस में आया था, it is not saving. Saving का value 1100 आएगा क्या? यहाँ पे जैसे पहले था, consumption का value came out to be 3400, isn't it? In this case, this entire value came out to be how much?
3400.
3400. But what do we consider this value as? 75% of income is spent on consumption. So this 75% is what? It is not consumption. It is what? It is MPC, na? That is what is the difference.
Then
Total
ma'am,
consumption
MPS
is
will be
3400. So, but 75% of income is spent on consumption. That is what is the MPC means. Due to change in income, there is an additional change in consumption. And what is the additional change? That is 75%. Is 75% equal to 3400 of income? No, na? What is that? 3300, na?
3300.
So what is this 3300? Isn't it MPC? Yes.
ma'am.
Isn't it 75% of income?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody is clear? Don't get confused. 75% when you are saying, that is the MPC. And MPC is nothing but it is the change. I am stating that when my income changes, due to the change, because this I cannot consider, now this is a constant value. That the autonomous consumption is a constant value. Na? Can this be variable? Tell me.
No.
This cannot be variable, no? Which one will be variable? This can change. It can be 0.75, it can be 0.6, it can be 0.8, depending. But again, jo bhi value aaya, theek hai, in point. But what does that mean? The meaning of that is, either it, in this case, it is 75% is the change in consumption. And this 75% is MPC. It is not C. Clear? Similarly, saving case में भी वैसे.
मैम लेकिन इससे हम सेविंग नहीं निकाल सकते. जो 0.25% होगा वो तो मैम होगा ना, मतलब
That is MPS.
S.
हाँ, वही तो मैं बोल रही हूँ. That is MPS. That is not S. S will be how much? वैसे फिर S का equation
minus
100
plus
plus
0.25.
0.25y. So
Yes.
calculate करने से जितना आएगा, that will be the S value.
yes ma'am.
But 25% क्या है? 25% of income.
MPS.
That is our MPS. MPS and S are different. MPC and C is different. Got it?
Yes ma'am. Thank you.
So when you are talking about the equation is both this plus this, इसलिए हम लोग start किए थे ना, A plus BY. That is where I started fundamentally with, no? Consumption equation is A plus BY. Everybody is clear now? Thank you, Oliva, for asking this question. I think many of them would have also that doubt. But now is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the last question was, you were supposed to find out with the following information, the level of income. MPC is given, which is 0.5. Autonomous consumption is given, which is 300. Now, what is the consumption function in this case?
C equal to 300 plus
300 plus
0.5.
0.5y.
Exactly, 300 plus 0.5y, no? I value is given, 6,000. You can find out y.
Yes.
Absolutely.
C plus I.
Right? Second में क्या हुआ है? If MPC is now 0.8 instead of 0.5. So let us assume now with the same equation, 300 plus 0.8y. Then what will be the value of investment multiplier?
1 by 1 minus MPC.
Exactly, directly.
Yes, ma'am. 5.
Done? समझ में आ गया? So this is how you can interchange the formula with certain, you just have to notice that what is the information available with you. I have just given direct a situation with numbers, but this will be backed by a case. Case like, suppose, let me give you an example. Going by the current crisis with Russia and Ukraine, how it will affect the consumption expenditure, savings, and investment of the citizens, those who are a subject, direct subject to the war. So suppose a situation, a background is given to that case, and based upon that, you are given with the functions. You'll get a value, right? Suppose I give the functions of MPC to be very high, but you find out the income is not changing due to the limitation, due to the crash. Then MPC will also go down, because income, if it is not increasing, MPC will go down, savings will become negative, because from the past savings, people will not now start consuming. There is a loss of wealth, health, as well as due to the sanction, Russia is cut down from other part of the world. So with that background, you'll get a result. Now, what does that result mean to you? If your MPC value comes out to be 0.025. So what would you mean by that? 0.025. What interpretation will you give for the households of Russia?
Consumption is very less.
Okay, less more कुछ फायदा नहीं है. Be very, very specific. What does 0.025 mean? Is it not only 2.5%?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
2.5% of the extra income that is spent
On consumption.
on consumption.
So if such a situation emerge, what can be your analysis? The analysis can be, might be there is lack of ink or lack of shortage of articles, due to which people are not able to spend on consumption, because people are locked down under different scenarios. So like that, a case can be given. Another case, in GDP, we have studied about what affects GDP, how GDP can increase. So now that another situation which is coming out due to this war, and you find more than already 17,000 students have come from Russia, and those are medical students, right? NEET exam in India is almost on the verge of. So now, don't you think that?
Ukraine, not Russia, ma'am.
Sorry?
They come from Ukraine,
Yeah,
not Russia, ma'am.
Ukraine, sorry. Ukraine. So in that sense, suppose around 17,000 medical students, out of which, let's take an approximation of 12,000 even are medical students, those who have come to India. Now, most of them are at the mid stage of their completion of education. And by the rule of the government, they have stated that they will be absorbed in few of the medical colleges within India, right? Even KIT has also given their confirmation to include some of the students at KIMS. So now in this situation, how it is going to impact? Don't you think that the number of seats for medical is limited, and those who have passed NEET, the medical exam, this will be in direct competition? Again, if you look into justice or injustice, will it not be an injustice for the Indian students? Okay, if the students are passing, if they are qualifying through an entrance, and then they are getting an admission, it makes sense. But going by the current crisis, the government will not allow any form of examination for the students, and they will be directly absorbed. So viewing from that angle, don't you think that the investment expenditure of the government will increase? The government expenditure will increase.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
If it increases, what kind of multiplier impact it is creating? Now, abhi kya hoga? Budget mein certain amount of money was allocated for different sectors. But now, due to this current crisis, will the government not reshuffle its level of expenses?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
One will be for funding of this education, because internship jo log hai, their internship will be free. Second will be due to the rising price of crude oil, touching around $130 per barrel, right? Again, import basket will become expensive. पहले वही ना import करने के लिए we were paying $75 to $80 per barrel. अभी suddenly the price has increased by more than 60%. So import bills will increase or not?
Yes, ma'am.
It will increase by 60% क्योंकि मेरा जितना requirement है, can I reduce the consumption of crude oil for my country?
No.
No, ma'am.
On an average, India
Important, no, ma'am.
around 2 to 3% हम लोग का daily use होता है consumption. I'm talking about on an average. So we cannot cut down upon our consumption. On one side, you cannot, because it is inelastic. You have studied in micro. Short term में crude oil, gasoline, since India is not having any other alternatives, lack of having any kind of substitutability of that product makes the demand inelastic. तो मेरा import basket 80 to 85% है. Now that will be financed through whom? Through my government expenditure. So government expenditure will increase or not? Imports will become expensive. उतना capacity of import उतना कर रहे हैं, but import bills will increase. Is it not a reason for depreciation of currency?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see how there is a linkage of all these factors? So अगर government expenditure बढ़ाएगा, now पैसा कहाँ से लाएगा वो? Already the budget में distribute कर दिया है. Now it has to take out the money from certain sectors, जैसे कि गति शक्ति. Budget people, those who are here, all everybody might have clarity. We have enough discussion on budget. Infrastructure pipeline. For the time being, government can withdraw the expenditure, particularly the capital expenditure from this to fuel the finances for this. So reshuffling of expenses will happen. Again, if again there is a shortage of money, what it can do? Fiscal deficit हमारा फिर बढ़ेगा कि नहीं? It has to depend upon borrowings, ना? हाँ कि नहीं?
Yes,
तो
ma'am.
गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर मल्टीप्लायर, कल जो वीडियो तुम लोग ने देखा वहां पे, बिकॉज दैट वाज द लास्ट ईयर वीडियो, दिस करंट एग्जांपल वाज नॉट देयर. Microeconomics is such a beautiful subject that every time things will change because it is full of dynamism. As economic situation changes, the analysis will also change. So I am adding to the perspective of yesterday's discussion. If you have seen about the calculation of government expenditure, now tell me, under this situation, how the multiplier impact of government be impacted? Do you think that government expenditure will have a positive impact on increase in income suddenly? If I look into the current financial year, government expenditure बढ़ रहा है, किस में बढ़ा? Import bills में बढ़ा. Second, for taking out the medical students from a region to India. Third, as crude oil price, as you know that when crude oil price increases, everything else increases. Gold price increases, agricultural commodities price increases, fertilizers increases. Now, fertilizer ka price बढ़ने से, who will fund for that? You know that government, because fertilizers are subject to what? Subsidies. So who will bear that subsidy for the farmers?
Government.
Government.
So again, government expenditure बढ़ेगा कि नहीं? Now government will not be able to bear so much of boja, right? So what will the government do? Tell me, next what? This is how you forecast things and you interlink situations. Now tell me, what can government do? What is the next step?
Ma'am,
They can buy higher.
Repo में, reverse repo में, open market interest rate बढ़ाएगा कि नहीं? Tell me, now interest rates will go up or go down? CRR will go down.
ma'am, it may be happen that yesterday wrote in a newspaper that RBI may let rupee fall further to make export competitive.
Yes, that
That's
is
the
what,
one point.
again, that is a different case. See, whenever rupee depreciate karega, the fundamental thing is that export will become cheaper, na? ये मैं exchange rate में तुमको detail में I will go into that. Earlier, $1 was, let's take 72. Now the same $1 becomes 76. That means when you export, you are in gain, na? तुम्हारा gain कितना हो रहा है? How much? $3 rupees more gain when you export. So export becomes what? Cheaper. The positive thing about depreciation is exports will become cheaper. But think from the point of view of imports. Now in case of imports, you have to pay 3 rupees more, no? Because you are exchanging, you're not paying in INR, but you are buying dollars, no? So when you will buy dollar, will you not pay 3 rupees more? So imports क्या हो जाएगा? Imports will become expensive, na? Now, for the every barrel of the crude oil which we will import, I have to pay 3 rupees more. So my import bills badhega ki nahi? But on the other side, my exports will become cheaper. So that is why it is said that depreciation makes exports cheaper, and that is the reason why exports can increase. It is a good thing for increasing exports, but it is a bad thing for imports, because agar 80 to 85% reliance on import bills, just imagine how much expenditure it will scale up. जितना gain होगा ना export से, उतना ज़्यादा उससे ज़्यादा loss हो जाएगा from imports, and that is the reason your CAD, which is our current account deficit, it has increased. What is this CAD? CAD is nothing but it is the difference between export minus import. Now tell me, Ashish, whatever statement you say, export will cheaper. Yes, certainly I take your point. Export will be cheaper. But now to tell me to what extent? Export cheaper होने के बावजूद भी, which bills will increase? Export bill will increase or import bill will increase? Tell me. Import bill will increase. Import bill will increase.
Yes, ma'am.
Import bill will increase. So if import bill increases, पहले हम लोग का CAD rate था around 1.3% of GDP. Now the CAD rate, particularly after this situation, it has increased, I think, more than 2.3% of GDP. And this is why. This is due to rising import bills. And how the burden will lie on the consumers, on our pockets. Crude oil बढ़ने से, we are now going to pay, in addition to 100 rupees जो था, in addition to 100, 110 rupees, now it will become 140, 150 rupees. So that is how macro meets micro. That is a different issue. Decreasing the value, we'll discuss about it later on. Devaluation and depreciation, ये दोनों different चीजें हैं. You cannot decrease. Already value तो decrease हुआ है, और कितना decrease करोगे? Will you make it $1 to be 80? Competition in foreign, because exports become competitive due to depreciation. Always depreciation is a tool used for enhancing exports, but there is a limit. Beyond that, if your currency or China का case क्या था? Initially, the strategy used by China was devaluation. There is a difference between devaluation and depreciation. Devaluation is deliberately done by the government. Knowingly, the government will keep the value of the currency low. But depreciation is what? Depreciation is due to market forces. Crude oil बढ़ गया, दूसरे सारे fact, inflation आ गया, trade deficit हो गया. Due to that, currency appreciate or depreciate. There are market forces reasons to it. So when you're talking about devaluation, it is completely the power of the government. No market force role, because deliberately you are doing it. China initially adopted that strategy, no? Have you all heard about dumping strategy? Dumping में क्या हो रहा था? Dumping means yes, at a very cheap. That is how China became the world leader as far as grabbing the entire market initially, when it started with the strategy of international dumping. That means it was selling the product at a cheaper rate in the world economy, but at an expensive rate in its home country. अपने country में higher rate में it was selling, बाहर it was selling at a lower rate. So that was a kind of dumping factor, and it was keeping the value of its currency low, knowingly, deliberately. But again, the strategy didn't work out for a longer period of time. It had to change its strategy. So that is how the analysis should be taken up when you are coming to any conclusion. So the reason of giving you a background is this is a background of a case. Now with that case, you are given with some numbers to solve and you will get a result. But now, what does this result mean to you? The interpretation of that result is very essential. Is it clear? So can you relate now the economic situations which is going on with that of this classification of the concepts? Yes or no? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See, solving of once you know the process, calculation is the easiest thing. You know the process, what number aa jayega. Done. But again, what does this number mean to you? You have to give, always remember, macroeconomics, any kind of calculation, numerical, which you are doing, that has to be given a meaning because numbers cannot speak. In QT also, you might be doing chi-square, regression, correlation. But when you are doing that, what is the meaning? उसका कुछ मतलब तो निकलता होगा ना? When your correlation value is 0.9, what does that mean? High degree positive correlation between the two variables. Right? When the regression coefficient is say 0.25, that means only 25% of the variables are being explained. Rest 75% are not explained. That means it is a very poor measure, very poor coefficient. It should be, if it is a poor coefficient, that variable should be taken out from our calculation index. So similarly, here also you have to understand and give a meaning to the results. Then only it will make sense and you can be closer to the reality. Is it clear? Everyone, मैं बोल रही हूँ या तुम लोग just 5 to 6 people I know.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you correlate the current crisis with all the multiplier impacts which you are doing right now? So I will not spend much time on the third sector model because already you have gone through the video. So to save time, and as such we have to go a long way, let us directly jump into the calculation. But any doubt, I am really welcoming all of you if there is any doubt which you have not followed in that video. Because the reason of sharing a class video was because there were interaction among the students. I think you also might have got the similar queries. And you would have watched the video, all those queries were addressed during the interaction. पहले कितने जन वीडियो देखे मैं let me see the hands. How many of you have seen that? नहीं तो सबका मैं absent कर दूंगी. I have given your attendance based on that. That was a अभी सब हाथ उठा रहे हैं. So smart. Arpan Naik. Sorry, Arpan Narayan. That is what happened when you don't see the students. Arpan Narayan, are you here? See, Without any reason, he has, everybody raised up their hand. Let me also go in the flow. This is what is called as a herding effect. Just go with the flow. Whatever may be, either it is working or not. Let me go. सबको डूबना है तो मैं भी डूब जाऊंगा. Piyush, you are also in the flow.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
No, ma'am, I watched it.
Yeah. What did you gain, or what could you retain from the video of the discussion on 3-sector model?
Learned about the calculation of
Forget about calculation. What was your understanding? Calculation, though, that is technical. What is your understanding? किस बारे में डिस्कशन हो रहा था वीडियो में?
3-sector model.
3-sector model. So who is the third actor in that model?
Government.
Government. So अभी तक हम लोग 2 actors लोगों को लेके चल रहे थे. Firms, household. 3-sector model में the entry of the third hero or the heroine, which is your government. Now, what is the role of the government? How, with the entry of one more hero, you find a difference in the model? Do you find a difference? The model expands or not? So when the model expands, does it have any positive impact on income or not? Yes or no? Adi, you entered one more member into a player, na? So
Yes, ma'am.
what is the relevance of the entry? या खाली entry मारने के लिए entry कर दिया? What is the relevance of one more addition to the existing member?
It has 3 functions. So tax function, transfer payments, then government.
To
expenses.
When
increase
you
the
talk about government, then government भी अपना ingredient लेके आएगा कि नहीं? When you are adding government, who is in the government? So the government will come with its tax. The government will come with its debt. The government will come with its expenditure. The government will come with its transfer payments. Yes. So like that, if you can relate, things are going to be much more interesting and you can absorb them with the findings. So now Bhaskar, tell me, when you enter tax as an ingredient by the government, what can be the impact? Bhaskar abhi video बंद कर दिया. देखो. A simple thing है, just you have to imagine, you have to.
ma'am, the
Don't Google, see.
income will be reduced.
Just think, understand, you will find the answers on your own way. No need to Google out. This is just
Ma'am,
based upon your understanding. अगर मैं
Ma'am,
टैक्स
the-
सपोज गवर्नमेंट एंटर किया, राइट? सो गवर्नमेंट एंटर किया, गवर्नमेंट के पास अपना टैक्स आया, हथियार, उसका टूल. सो नाउ टेल मी, टैक्स इज द मेजर सोर्स ऑफ व्हाट?
Revenue.
revenue.
Tax is the major source of revenue. So when you're talking
Ma'am,
about tax,
Yeah, ma'am. Ultimately, the income of the individual will decrease, no, ma'am.
you are talking about micro, na? But I am not talking about micro. I am talking about Y, impact on Y. The entire discussion of 2-sector, 3-sector, 4-sector is what? Not the impact on your income or my income. It is the impact on the economy's income, macro.
Yes, ma'am.
Tax
But
is what? Tax
Ma'am, we
is
are
an injection
subtracting, ma'am,
or a
na?
leakage.
leakage,
Tell
ma'am.
me,
Now, Y
tax-
minus 75. like something have to minus the y minus t.
Leakage to you.
Okay.
Are you getting it?
Okay.
But it is injection to the economy.
Okay. Per government it is
तो
the
हम लोग
income
अभी
per.
किसके पर्सपेक्टिव से डिस्कस कर? Are we discussing micro?
No.
What we are discussing?
Macro.
Macro. So when you are discussing macro, tax, direct tax, indirect tax. Is it an injection or a leakage? Tell me now.
Injection. Ma'am.
Injection.
Injection. You have seen within your generation time period changing tax structure as far as indirect taxes are concerned. Pehle, to have a haircut, how much you are paying? Now to have the same haircut, how much you are paying? See the difference. Are you not paying more?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
tax
We
slab
are paying more.
When you are paying more, where is the money going?
Government.
Government. Simple. So the tax to GDP ratio, particularly after GST has been implemented, it has increased or decreased?
Increase.
Increased. Right. Now, after the linking of Aadhaar, PAN to the individual's bank account, now tell me, tax collection have increased or decreased? Direct tax collection.
Increased.
Increase, ma'am.
Property tax, household tax, income tax, everything has increased. So both direct as well indirect sides. दोनों साइड से tax increase ही हुआ है.
Ma'am, लेकिन as an individual, we always are concerned about that we should lower our tax. We
Oh,
should
that is
reduce
what
our
that is
tax.
what that is your concern, na? That is
Ma'am, then
individual
how that
concern.
can be means that can be achieved because all the taxes are always increasing, right, in the government scenario.
So tax को अगर increase कर रहे हैं, how that will be fueled up due to DA? Companies give DA. What is that DA? Dearness allowance.
Allowance.
Kitna percent? How it is calculated? Based upon the inflationary index. Company gives DA or not? The reason of giving DA is only the increase in taxes. When tax slab increases, expenses increases, DA also increases. पहले 100 rupees का value और आज के डेट में 100 rupees का value, is it same?
DA is due to inflation. Na?
हाँ,
DA
dearness
is
to
DA is
inflation
due-
only.
Yes.
That is why it is named dear. Dear means what? Dear is not close. Dear here economics में
Expensive.
dear is expensive. So whenever you will now say my dear friend, so it is not closer, it is expensive.
Expensive.
Dearness means expensive. Okay. So based upon the inflationary index, a dearness allowance is set by companies and corporates. Right? So Aliva, now you get it how an individual has to
Yes, ma'am.
balance its mental brackets. Mental brackets means हम लोग का सबका एक mental accounting है. मैं अपना daily expenses जो कि transactions, day-to-day transactions, कितना percentage I will assign. On my future savings, how much I will assign. On my investment, how much I will assign. On my education, on my health, how much I will assign. This is what is called as mental accounting. Everybody does mental accounting or not. Be at individual level, be at country level, there is mental accounting. Yes? Dividing money into your pockets. Micro में वही पढ़े हो ना budget? Budget पढ़े ना micro में? Budget constant,
Yes, ma'am.
budget line. हाँ, so उसको यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा link करना पड़ेगा. So that was from the individual point of view, but here we are talking it from the economy's point of view. So now, due to these two activity, don't you think that the level of tax revenue collection, it has increased? Hmm?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So revenue side, tax is a revenue expenditure or a capital expenditure? Capital receipt, sorry, receipt. Revenue. Because why revenue? Because it is recurring in nature, continuous. ऐसा नहीं कि तुम आज बोलो आज टैक्स दे दिए, कल बोलोगे नो आई विल नॉट पे टैक्स, लव लेटर आ जाएगा आईटी डिपार्टमेंट से. Yeah, you will not file the tax. Even if there is zero return, you have to file a zero return. Otherwise, you will get a nice letter from income tax department. So that is how you can consider tax as a major source of government revenue, and that is why it is included in the receipt side. आ रहा है, continuously आ रहा है, tax तो cannot be stopped. Either it is through GST or it is through direct taxes, it is coming. So this is one of the major tool of the government. और क्या government अपने साथ लाया? What else?
Investment.
There is government
Expenditure.
expenditure. Investment in where? Capital side. ये
In
गया
capital
current
side.
side. Capital side. So capital side में क्या? What is capital? Capital is anything which is
Infrastructure.
Creating assets.
In
For longer
assets,
period of
infrastructures.
Creating
right?
assets.
Fixed assets.
Creating assets, any assets. Capital is generating assets which will further earn certain amount of income. That is the purpose of capital expenditure, no? So ये government का expenditure हुआ कि नहीं?
Yes, ma'am.
Capital expenditure is recurring or non-recurring?
Not recurring. ma'am.
Non-recurring.
Non-recurring. It is non-recurring. आज तुम ब्रिज पे खर्चा किए हो, कल नहीं करोगे. ब्रिज कंप्लीट हो गया, then it stops. But salary, आज सैलरी दे रहे हो, कल भी सैलरी दोगे. आज फाइन कलेक्ट कर रहे हो, कल भी फाइन कलेक्ट करोगे. आज स्कॉलरशिप दे रहे हो, कल भी स्कॉलरशिप दोगे. It is continuous. Revenue expenses, revenue receipts are recurring. They are continuous. You
Ma'am,
see anything?
when you collect toll fee, that is the recurring, na ma'am.
Huh? So that is coming under revenue. Toll fee is a revenue expenditure. Toll fee is never a capital expenditure. The road is a capital expenditure, but the amount of fees which you have collected from the toll booth, that is what? That is a revenue.
Revenue. Okay.
समझ में आ रहा है? जो कुछ चीज is continuous, it is in nature, that is all will be entered in our, when I am going to fiscal policy, I have structured out a nice fiscal math table, revenue side, receipt side, current side, expenditure side. How it is that? But from here, basic understanding must be clear between the revenue and the capital side. So the government expenditure हुआ on this case. और क्या है government में?
Transfer payments.
Very good. Transfer payments. So we have spoken about transfer payments a lot. Now, Russia or Ukraine, suppose, will ask help from India to give certain financial aid or grant. India will say no.
No.
They will support.
They
India
will
will support.
Yes, ma'am.
India is still now acting neutral. Unlike other Western countries, they have imposed sanction. The Western world has imposed sanction. Again, sanction, यहाँ पे sanction का मतलब नहीं grant. Sanction का मतलब क्या है? What is a sanction? Anyone?
Embargo.
What is a sanction?
Embargo.
Restriction imposed.
Restrictions.
Yes, any form of penalty, any form of restriction imposed on that country. Either it is a financial restriction, either it is a trade restriction, either it is an individual restriction. There are different kinds of sanctions. So the Western world has imposed sanctions on Russia. Now, suppose India को financial grant is asked, will India say no? It will give, na? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, they will support.
It should be.
Bhaskar, are you going to give or not? You will give. So this is what?
Transfer
Will you
payment.
ask the money in return
Transfer
will you
payment.
ask the money in return?
No, ma'am.
Because you have gifted it as a grant. So this is what? This is a kind of transfer payment. The government of India giving to any in the form of relief, in the form of aid, in the form of grant to the government of the country which is asking, Russia. So will it have any impact on income or not? When
Yes, ma'am.
transfer payments increases, income भी impact करेगा कि नहीं?
Yes, ma'am, it will.
Yes, ma'am.
That is
It will
again which
impact.
you all saw in the video. The role of transfer payments on income determination. Yeah. So one was the role of tax on income determination. Second था the role of what? Expenditure on
Expenditure.
income. Third is the role of transfer payments on income. And fourth ingredient of government is powerful ingredient. क्या है? Printing notes. Yes or no?
Printing currency.
So when you visualize the role of government, all this instruments should come. It should accompany you. Now, printing of notes. You will say that RBI has the right to print notes. But is it that the complete independent of RBI? Now RBI is not having its own autonomy. It is in collaboration with MIA. Itishri, what is MIA? MEA. Ministry of External Affairs. Right? So all decisions are taken in synchronization with Ministry of External Affairs. Abhi jo recently decide hua regarding the kind of international sanction as far as continuing the payment to be done for the existing trade between
Sure.
India and Russia.
Swift, ma'am.
Huh?
Swift
Swift.
import.
So
Yes,
SWIFT
ma'am.
imposed. So don't you think that this kind of ban will put a kind of pressure on RBI to look for other alternatives? That is what is the decision going on. They are looking for other alternatives, other SWIFTs in order to continue with the transactions. अगर transaction नहीं हुआ तो क्या होगा? Export बंद हो जाएगा, import भी बंद हो जाएगा. Will it impact income or not?
No, in this case,
answer to my question. Will it impact? Suppose the transaction is not rechannelized. Will it impact income or not?
Yes, ma'am.
yes, ma'am. It will impact, ma'am.
Absolutely yes. So in the three sector model, we are discussing all these things only. When you include the third actor into your model, the third actor brings all these weapons, all these ingredients along with him. So this is what is the flavor added to your income. Income may react positively, income may react negatively. So essentially, in simple language, this is how the three sector model is determined with the help of government. Yes, now, what is the question?
मैम जब फिजिकल डेफिसिट जब होता है तो मैम तब प्रिंटिंग ऑफ नोट्स में कैसे थोड़ा हेल्प करता है वो
I will take about that. I will not divert, otherwise हम लोग divert करने से ना वो fiscal policy तक नहीं पहुंच पाएंगे. Already I think we have how much classes Bhaskar has been over till now? Any idea? 4 to 5. Yeah. Four to five classes. मतलब मैं no, I'm talking about from the beginning of the second semester till now with macro. How many classes we have spent? Close to 9 to 10 तो हो गया होगा.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm?
8 to 9 classes.
So within this 8 to 9 classes, what has been your retention? This is not number of classes. I believe in the quality in terms of retention. So fiscal deficit, Aliba, to answer your question, fiscal deficit emerges due to the increase in borrowings. Because it is nothing but it emerges when the gap between expenditure and revenue increases. When now at the current time period, when I was stating, government का expenditure बढ़ रहा है, suddenly क्यों बढ़ा? Because this is unbudgeted, this was not planned. Suddenly the expenditure has increased through this sites. Now how the government will be able to match to the deficit? Either it will borrow or it will reallocate its current budgetary allocation, or it will print notes. But printing of notes is the last action which it can resort to. Why? Because printing of notes is itself is a very expensive affair. ऐसे नहीं कि मेरे पास printing machine है, मैं unlimited पैसा छापूंगा. No. You need to have sufficient reserves to print currencies. And why? These are all legal currencies. They are backed by certain legal reserves. We'll study what does legal reserves means when I move on to our money chapter. All our currencies are legal monies. That is why you might have seen that government now is discouraging to have paper monies. क्योंकि खर्चा है उसमें. What it is encouraging? It is encouraging for a cashless economy. Digital economy. So if you are going for a digital economy, you did not print notes, na? Limited jitna fund requirement hai, limited amount of money will be only pushed into the economy. But majorly transactions will be done for what? Through your wallets, e-wallets actually. That is how the economy is switching over. Another interesting finding with some of the advanced countries, वहाँ पे tax is not done on income. Do you know? It is done on what? It is rather done on transactions. If your income is limited, but if your transactions is more, your tax is subject to be based on the transactions, not on income. So it is a transaction-based tax. And a transaction-based tax brings more transparency for the economy rather than that of an income-based tax, because income-based taxes have n number of ways for evasion. And when tax are evaded, then your tax to GDP ratio will come down. And when it will come down, multiplier impact positive hoga ya negative hoga?
Negative.
Negative hoga. Simple. So this is how you can combine your concepts with the realities. Isn't it interesting?
Yes, ma'am.
So those who have not seen the video, please go again, and because I will not take the class again. I have explained what was there in the video for simplicity, and we will go ahead with the numericals straight away in the next class. I have thought to to make, because already बहुत late हो गया है and we cannot go ahead with the chapters. So a video will be uploaded in Google Classroom and discussion will be carried on the basis of the video. Will that be fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you have at least some sense of understanding about in this way what is happening. Only limited students are there, those who are participating. Rest of the students, they are not. So I am going to exercise the flipped classroom from next. Be ready. PPTs are with you, videos are with you. Analysis, what next? It has to come from you, because through that only you can be able to comprehend it in a better way. Clear? जिन लोगों का SIP selection हो गया है, what were the questions which were posed? I think Deloitte and Yes Bank, few of them. Anyone is here? SIP?
Yes, ma'am.
Aritra, yes. So what were the questions? What kind of questions were asked?
Ma'am, in Deloitte, we had 3 rounds. First was HR, then was technical. In the technical round, they asked questions about taxes and some basic accounting questions like what is actual cash basis, then deferred revenue expenditure, all those. And difference between balance sheet and trial balance, like that questions. Difference between capital expenditure and revenue expenditure. Just
So
basic
your
questions.
answer would have been direct, Aritra.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Your answers would have been direct with definition. Capital
Yes,
expenditure, tax, and
yes.
all that.
Capital expenditure and revenue expenditure, it was asked in the final round. So the interviewer who was
But still,
asking,
then it was right.
yes, it was direct, but they told me to make it understand in a layman's like mind. So I had to make them understand in that way only.
That is
Not
what
giving it-
exactly I'm trying to figure it out right now here also.
Yes.
I hope you were attentive throughout the
ma'am.
class.
Yes, ma'am.
So such questions, when they are asked, if you give your answers relating to a situation, your selection is pakka. Suppose capital expenditure तुम पूछेंगे, तुम definition बोलोगे, वहां पे दूसरा candidate will cite a situation in order to explain that answer. Is there not a difference? Who will get a better score?
Yes, ma'am.
The one who has explained with the help of a current situation. तो वही concept वही explain कर रहे हो. But can you see your level of thinking is going beyond the concept. So it is just right now in SIP, but next in placement also some things are going to come in. So time and again, which I have been telling, and you like it or you don't like it, but I will be going on telling you so. Focus on those realities, thereby establishing a connect with the concept, and the job is yours. Nobody can stop you if your explanation, your presentation is in this way. Because the interviewer very rightly gets the idea, okay, this student not only knows the concept, that means he has not crammed up the concept, but he has an application of this concept. Make sense? Thank you, Aritra, for sharing, because this is essential for the entire class to know.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So there are certain numericals given in the PPT also, as far as government expenditure is concerned. Next class when we meet, You can work out on few of those if you can. Otherwise, we will be doing it in the class. By the way, your project report is over, everyone's in this class.
Yes, ma'am.
So all of you are done with the video. Huh? So Bhaskar, next class will play the video. And we'll start with the evaluation. Today, Tuesday, na? Why it is not showing here? Are 8 Tuesday
Today is 8.
हाँ तो वाइट सैप में क्यों नहीं दिखा रहा है? But it is not in the SHAP. Bhaskar, please take it only absenteeism ka. I will just see why it is not showing in SHAP. Today, earlier it was there and it was a regular class. Take a note of the attendance and just make me the list of the absenteeism.